If you do any prospecting with LinkedIn, you have got to go get set up with Surf. That's SURFE. It's a tool you can use to add new contacts to your CRM system directly from LinkedIn in seconds. I'm using it every single day. I add contacts, follow my deals, keep track of notes, and it ends up saving me a bunch of time on prospecting and outreach, which means I can spend more time moving my deals along. The data is always 100% accurate since I don't have to copy and paste all the fields over from each and every contact that I want to put in my CRM. Instead, Surf does that all automatically with just one click in about 60 seconds. The team over at Surf has put together a very special offer for fans of sales players. There's a link down in the show notes, and you can use the promo code JWSurf5. Don't forget the E at the end of Surf. That's JWSurf5 for 5% off your first year. Don't spend another minute doing things manually. Go get set up with Surf. Hey, SaaS sales players, it's me, Jesse, and I know that it's been a really long time since I put out a new episode. In fact, I think it's been well over a month at this point. So first and foremost, I wanted to address that, give a quick update on the month of December, and then talk about where things stand with the show and the plans for going forward into this new year, 2023. So hopefully everyone out there had a happy new year. I'll first address sort of the month of December. It was one of the craziest months of my life, my career, starting with the fact that right after Thanksgiving, within a few days, I was on a plane to Munich, Germany for 10 days, which was an amazing trip. I had never taken a 10-day Euro trip before. I've really never been offline for that long in the sense that even though I was checking emails and things like that, it was a complete break from kind of the day-to-day stuff. So figured there was no better time to do it. I actually traveled there with a friend, mentor, and colleague of mine that I've known for years now. And it was a really amazing experience to go and check out a new culture and to just, kind of get a new perspective on things. So when I got back mid-December, we were already starting to head into the holidays, and, between playing some catch up in my day job and planning for all of the holiday festivities, I just did not have time to sit down and do any interviews or put out any content like this where it's, just me speaking into the mic. So if you're worried about me, and I know a few people have reached out checking in to make sure I'm still planning to make the show and that I'm still alive and all that good stuff, here I am ready to go and excited for the year to come. Excited, but also kind of cautiously optimistic for things. And I'll talk about that here in a second, because there is, obviously a lot going on in the tech space right now. The headlines of layoffs and changes and downsizing and all kinds of other sort of abnormalities, I'll call them, have been in the headlines the last couple of weeks. And I think, if you're like me, you're probably a little bit apprehensive coming into the new year. You're not sure what to expect if you're a seller already, or maybe if you're trying to get into the business, you're wondering what the trends are going to be. Is this going to be an industry that continues to grow, or is the party completely over in SaaS? And I'll talk about that here in a second, but let me just make sure I wrap up December. So that is why I've not put out any shows in the month of December. And it was actually the first time since I started the podcast that I didn't put an episode out in a month. I've never gone an entire month without putting something out since I started the show, which was over 2 years ago now. So here we are. Wanted to give a quick recap for December, and then talk about some plans for the days ahead. It's been a little bit of a slower start this year. I think by this time last year, I probably had a handful, a stack of guests, interviews to do for the show. And I had a long list of ideas for topics that I wanted to cover. And I'll be honest, that this year it's been a little bit harder to pull myself up out of the holidays and get back at it. Now, to be fair, we're on the second week of January. The year has really just begun. But by this time last year, I probably had, several guests in the queue, and, was just waiting to put those episodes out. Whereas this year, it's been a little bit slower. And, one of the themes of the show is that this is content that's typically delivered by your fellow account executives, your fellow SDRs, and it's intended to be very tactical and very, granular, right? I tend to want to bring guests in that speak to their specific playbook, that are doing the job day to day, not, coaches, not managers. I really do try to keep it to people that are doing the job every single day, that are picking up the phone, that are sending emails, that are closing deals and signing contracts and all that stuff. And because of that, and because of the fact that the industry has been tightening up a little bit, and a lot of the regular guests that would be on the show are finding that their schedules are a little bit more tied up. They're having to put in a little bit more work lately to get the same outcomes that they were getting a year ago or 2 years ago. And I think everybody's feeling this, everybody's seeing this, that it's taking a bit more work to get deals done. It's taking a bit more work to book that first meeting with a prospect. It's taking extra effort to get that meeting to hold with a prospect. It's taking a little more effort to get a contract signed, to get people moving through, prospects, I should say, moving through the pipeline. So there's obviously a lot going on in the industry. And one thing I'm not going to do, and I've debated this, but I'm not going to play, the prediction game. I don't have a crystal ball. I have no idea when the industry will start to level off and you'll start to see hiring in mass again. It could be 6 months. It could be 6 years. I really don't know. So what I want to do for the next few episodes is focus a lot on, one, speaking to the things that are most painful for everybody listening right now. And that's, again, getting momentum, getting traction. Maybe that's trying to land your first SaaS role, but maybe it's also trying to land your next client. And so I want to be able to speak to some specific things that I'm personally doing and that I know my colleagues who've been in this business for a long time are doing. I also want to bring in guests who've been there, done that. I don't want to waste time with guests who have only been in the industry for a couple of years, and this is the first time that they're experiencing a downturn. Because I think there's a lot to learn from the reps that have been doing this for 15, 20 years, because they've maybe gone through they have gone through a couple of downturns in the industry, and they've seen this movie play out before, and they know what it's like to sell in an environment like this. So I want to be able to focus, and I'm being especially picky right now about who I bring onto the show as a guest in the next couple of months, because I want my content to be incredibly valuable for everyone out there listening. And if you're out there right now pulling your hair out and wondering when your next deal is going to come in, or where you're going to get your next meeting, or how you're going to hit your number this year, or how you're going to land the right job this year, just know that you're not alone. Everybody is to some extent feeling this, myself included. It's a different year. It's not what I've usually experienced closing off a year. It's not usually what I experience coming into a new year. And I've come to terms with the fact that I'm probably going to have to work a lot harder this year than I normally would. I'm going to have to put more hours towards things that maybe a year or two ago I didn't need to do that. Right. So this is just, I do believe it's temporary, by the way. I don't think this is a forever thing. I don't think the industry is going to be, completely destroyed. So if anybody out there is worried that the party's over in SaaS, I don't think that. I think it's actually a great time to get into the business. But what I do think is it's going to be a little more difficult to prove yourself in this business for the next at least 6 months, probably longer. Let's just call it for 2023. Let's just say for this year, it's going to be a little bit harder to prove yourself, whether that's in a new role, in an existing role, moving from an SDR to an AE role. All of those things, all those milestones are going to take extra effort. Now, I'm not trying to say to go kill yourself or, burn yourself out or get yourself sick or whatever over a job or career. Don't do that. But what I am saying is that it's just going to require a little bit of extra effort, some craftiness, some scrappiness, whatever you want to call it, that everyone who's in this business is going to need to sit down and think of what they need to do to be successful in 2023. And I'm here to say that I'm going to do the best I can to bring in guests who've done it before, who know the playbook, who know how to overcome, a challenging selling environment like we're in right now. And I'm only going to put out content that I think is uber valuable, highly valuable for, selling in this environment. So that's my commitment to you as the listener. And also sort of my apology for going completely quiet in December. And I'd love to hear from you also. I love to hear from the listeners, and any topics that you have top of mind, send those my way. My email address is always in the show notes. You can always reach out to me via email on LinkedIn. If I haven't gotten back to your message, just know that I'm playing a little bit of catch up right now. But I'd love to hear about topics you want to hear about, and guests you might want to have on the show. All of those things would be great to hear from, because I want to make sure that this content continues to resonate with everyone listening. as far as the next couple of weeks, I'm actually heading out of town here in the next hour. And so I'm going to be gone all week for a company sales kickoff. And I won't be able to put out any content or, field a lot of messages until later this week or over the weekend. But from there on out, I'm going to try to get back to a consistent cadence of putting out about an episode a week, maybe even more this year. I'd like to try to get to a point where it's even more often, especially if the content's super valuable. I want to get that out there so it's helpful to everybody. So with all that said, thank you for your continued listening of the show. And thank you for making 2022 an amazing year for the podcast. And here's to a big 2023 selling year. Reach out to me with anything you need, guest ideas, topic ideas, and thanks for tuning in.